Welcome, Mage. I'm Rhino.
And I'm Papa Mage, and this is the Extreme Casual MTG Podcast. On today's show, we are going to be talking about stories of pre-releases long ago and not so long ago. These are the face-to-face games with really fun stories that we have. Now, I'm going to talk about some of the really old stuff because it was kind of long ago for Rhino to remember. But he started out his pre-release journey around 2015 with Magic Origins. And that was back when we had the creatures that flipped into the Planeswalkers. So it was the origins of those Planeswalkers. And, that was kind of neat. It was one of our first times dealing with this. We really didn't know what to expect. And one thing we were expecting that each set was going to have a planeswalker in it, and somewhat disappointed that when we opened up our packs we didn't see a single planeswalker in there. But the funny thing is, after we got home and we looked through the cards, we found out that we had gotten the planeswalkers. So
Yeah.
I think we had gotten a Chandra and a Nissa, and that was just we just didn't know that they were in there. And that really leads to one of the problems that a lot of people have with pre-releases, and that the number one thing is that they don't look at what's going to be in that pre-release before they
Yeah.
get there. So one thing that we started doing is, when we started the channel, we started reviewing all the cards and coming up with a spreadsheet. And let me tell you, that was a lot of work. Rhino and I would go through and we would look through all the cards. We would try to rate them as for how good they would be in standard and for the pre-release, and what are definitely ones that you want to keep, what were your the cards that you absolutely had to have in the set. And it would take us 2-3 days to create that sheet, and we would take that sheet with us. And one of the things that we noticed was that not a lot of people were interested in that information. They were interested in it from the standpoint of limited for draft or stuff like that, but they really weren't that interested in it. But one thing that really helped us is, doing all that work, we started winning almost every one of the pre-releases.
Yeah.
uh, and there was this is a story that I know Rhino knows.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we tell this one a lot. This was about when he was like 10 years old, and we were at this pre-release. And pre-releases bring in people from all over, people that you never see in a game store. They just show up for the pre-release, and in some cases, some of them will come and play a couple of games and then they'll quit, head out. It's not it's very casual. And so,
The very first pack that I opened,
what?
Narset.
Oh, well, yeah, that was another event. But this
Mm.
was this event, we had these people that came in that we hadn't seen before or ever. And
Oh,
one guy sat down across from Rhino
yeah.
because he was paired up with him first.
I remember this part. He sat down and he said, "Oh man, this is gonna be an easy game."
Yeah, he turned to his buddies and said, "Oh, this is going to be a quick game." And
And he's like,
and one of his buddies was looking around and looked at him and went,
"No,
"No, no,
no,
no."
no."
But
And
it turned out it was a very quick game.
I dealt 40 damage to him
Yeah,
on turn 6.
yeah. So Rhino, just basically, it was like 10 minutes and they had played their two games, and it's like, done. Uh, but that's all because we knew the cards. we knew the cards very well before even getting to the pre-release. So that's always been our number one thing to help you at a pre-release, is know the cards beforehand. There's other things like, oh yeah, if you uh, go ahead and take your own land, so you're not using the lands at the store, and go ahead and sleeve up 10 copies or 11 copies of each of the lands. That way you can quickly just put together your deck. You don't have to worry about the lands, and that gives you a little extra time. But one thing that we've noticed is a lot of the pre-releases, they'll give you a good 45 minutes to even an hour to build your deck, as opposed to when we go to things like GPs in the past, where they do the sealed tournaments and you get 25 minutes and you got to get going. And we've done a lot of those sealed events, and Rhino would go and he would end up teaching the person across from him how to play. He helped them with their deck. He would tell them
no, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to play that right now. Yeah, put that back in your hand. And this is a tournament for prizes. And he's like, no, you want to do this instead. So everywhere we're going, we're always teaching. And it's that's kind of the rewarding part of this for us. We end up winning a lot of games. We win pre-releases, and part of that is teaching people. Another thing that you can do is you sit down to your first match, and if the other person's you basically blow them out of the water real quick.
Yeah.
You say, hey, let's take a look at your deck. What are your other cards? And you help them out with the build. And we've always been really good at building new decks and building decks quickly. And Rhino's really good at it. And so that was one of the main reasons why we were winning these pre-releases. But we've got another story. Rhino became a little famous.
Yeah.
So
it was my first time flying, and I don't mean literally, on a plane. And
so where did you end up going?
I went to go to Loading Ready Run, and I was surprised. And we have a link.
Yeah, we have a vlog that he did, and we'll put it up in the corner
Up here.
there, and we'll put it down in the description. And
Make sure you check it out.
If you're watching or listening to this on the podcast, we'll have a link in the show notes to that. And so it was his first time flying. It was for his first time flying to another country.
Yeah.
And who did you end up meeting up with there?
Oh, I'll just go and jump to the point. I ended up meeting up against Dana Fisher.
Yeah, well, not against. You were partnered with
I
her.
was partnered with. It was a set called Battle Bond. And
the set is designed to be a two-headed giant draft pre-release. So they spent time one day drafting, and then the next day they did the recording.
Yeah. And I went up against Adam. I don't know his last name, but I kept freaking him out, and it was so much fun freaking him out.
Yeah, at the time, Rhino was 10, 11, and
I don't know what
it was.
age.
He was,
I
but
was
he was
much
still,
younger.
He was still really small, and Adam was this rather large, imposing guy compared to this little guy here, and who's not little anymore.
Yeah,
and
I'm 15.
And Rhino, of course, knows how to play very well and goes through the steps and will do things like, oh, in response, you're like, what? He's got an effect. And then there's like, yeah, Adam would place the card and Rhino would grab his cards and start to turn them. And he's like, no, he's doing something again. So it was a
And
lot
I
of
did
fun.
nothing.
It was a lot of fun. And at the very end, the kids, Dana and Rhino, ended up going up against me and Dana's dad in a final match, and they could have won against us. They just missed something that was on the board, but then we ended up beating them because they missed that trigger.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of fun, and you really should check out that vlog.
Yeah.
It was very unique experience. And then a few weeks later, we ended up going to GP Vegas, and Rhino was interviewing new players, and he played in a Battle Bond pre-release or sealed event there with Dana, and I think they ended up winning all the games.
All the games, yeah.
Because they ended up splitting prize money and stuff like that. So that was really cool event, and it's one of those things that Rhino will never forget.
Yeah.
But a couple of years ago, we ended up starting to travel. We decided that we wanted to go around and meet new people, and to tell you the truth, I was tired of cutting grass, and that was one of the main reasons why we ended up selling the house. We got the RV and we started traveling. We teach people wherever we go, but then there's also a number of game stores that wherever we go, we find a game store nearby, and if there's an event coming up, we'd like to go to it. We'll go and play Commander, or back then we were playing some Standard, and we'd play Pauper. We have legacy decks, modern decks, pretty much everything.
You name it.
Well, yeah, you name it, we'll do it. We'll play draft, stuff like that. But there was this one store, and it was kind of strange. It was a really small hole-in-the-wall store, but it was a nice store. Okay. And it was we had a pre-release there, and I think 9 people showed up for the pre-release. It was out in the middle of nowhere. So 9 people, and we were 2 of them. And so we ended up playing 4 rounds. I think, one of the people ended up dropping out after 2 rounds. Mm-hmm. And we get to the finals, and I think Rhino and I were like number 3 and 4 or something like that. Yeah. And then they decided that they were going to do a top 8 runoff, which was really strange because we had just played everybody.
I think there were 8 people.
Yeah, there were 8 people left, and pretty much 8 people played the whole thing. So they wanted to do a runoff, and that was one of those things where it was getting late, and so we ended up taking off, and it was just one of those strange experiences. A lot of stores do things differently, and sometimes a lot of stores will have will split up the prize pack, so whoever gets first place gets like half of a booster box, or they'll get a booster box, or it just depends on how many people show up. Now, I can tell you this, we've played in a lot of those games as well, and about that same time, Rhino's sister Speedy ended up wanting to play in pre-releases. She likes fast games. She doesn't like slow, long, drawn out Commander games. She likes quick games. But she's not the best deck builder. She can build a deck, but you got to look at Speedy as being more of a pilot that doesn't know how to build the airplane. She can fly the airplane just fine, but she can't build the airplane. And so that's nothing wrong. It's just she's really good at playing. And in fact, in the last 3 pre-releases that she's played in, she's gotten first place. She's gotten first place with her friend Ted right here, sitting right next to her. Yes, Ted only has one eye. He's got a patch here, and I don't know if this is a cape or a jacket, a vest, but she has Ted sitting right next to him, next to her, while she plays, and then she goes through and beats everybody. Granted, I do end up making the decks for her, but she is a very formidable opponent, and she knows how to win a lot of these games. But Rhino's won his fair share of games, but they haven't ever been paired up against each other at a pre-release. I don't think ever. And considering how many pre-releases we've played, that's interesting. Yeah, but very recently we were visiting some friends of ours, the twins, the Maddox twins, and we ended up going to the Forgotten Realms pre-release with them, and Rhino played in that, and so did Speedy. It was limited to 3 rounds. And I think Speedy won 3. I think you won at least 2 of your rounds. But it was a different store. It was a big store. Yeah, I think they had limited it to 32 people, so there was 48 people playing. And so getting in and playing against completely new people that you've never met before. How was that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's an honor, but but it's a good way of meeting people, a good way of
Interacting with them.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about it is there's always this talking back and forth and learning about each other as you're playing.
Yeah.
How about the game interactions? What do you think? Was it hard? What did you run up against anybody that didn't know really how to play well?
Yes, I did go up against somebody that knew how to play, but not exactly.
So once again, you were teaching.
Yes.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
The nice thing about the pre-releases is it's often extremely casual, and we just have a lot of fun, talking and playing, and really, it doesn't matter who wins. We all enjoy winning, of course, and we try to win, but not at the expense of
Win.
Yeah, we like to make sure that people have fun, and so that was one of our more recent pre-releases. What else did you like about the store that was there? Because I know this was a completely different type of store than what you were normally used to.
I really liked that they had these little minifigs that you can play D&D with. You can paint them and say, "Oh, I play with."
Yeah. So it was one of the first stores that they had a huge selection of D&D figures. A lot of the places we've gone to, yeah, they have D&D, but it's just a few books off to the side.
Yeah.
And they had, of course, comics there, and they had manga. I know Speedy loved that. She's a manga fanatic, and she loves anime. So it was really nice being in a brand new location and doing another store. I think the next pre-release that's coming up, we will probably be back near our home store if you want to call it that, our home LGS. But you know, we'll see. You know, we're traveling around, we're teaching people, and we're getting them used to playing Magic and getting them yeah, adventurous. And we want them to see stuff like this and see how open and friendly a lot of these places are. When Rhino first started out, we had one store that told us, "Oh, you don't want to come here to play because he's too young, and the people we have here is really crude." Or, and I was like, "Well, why would you allow that?" And when talking to them about it, they went, "Yeah, why are we allowing this?" And so they started changing things, and their store got to be a lot better. So don't be afraid. Go to a store, play in a pre-release,
Yeah.
and make sure the number one thing you do is look at the cards beforehand, so you know what they are, so you can quickly go, "Oh yeah, this is a good card," or "No, that's not a good card for what I need." And I think that's what we got for this time around. So,
I want to thank you for watching, and
thumbs up,
thumbs up. Don't forget to thumbs up.
comment. How many pre-releases have you played in? How
Yeah.
many have you played in? Comment that down below. We'd really like to know. And
Yeah.
we're going to kind of do a survey with that.
And I have more videos coming out soon. So until then, me
and
and
Papa Mage are shuffled
shuffle
back
back
into the library.